All right, Jan.
You gonna sign up?
Thank you. My name's Jan Underwood, as they've said. I'm a volunteer with the Fair District Equals Fair Elections Coalition, which you may have seen us out and about over the summer. We tried to get to every possible gathering of people to get signatures on a petition to try to change the way congressional district lines are drawn. We were an all-volunteer organization. The coalition was made up of the League of Women Voters, Common Cause of Ohio, the Ohio Environmental Council, and about 30 other organizations that were working together to try to change the way our congressional district lines are drawn. And I wanted to know how many of you are familiar with Issue 1 that's going to be on the May 8th ballot. So most of you are, which is good, but we're concerned that most people are not, because it came up quickly, and it is it's rare for an issue of this significance to be on a primary ballot. So we're trying to get the word out to everyone about Issue 1. So the way Issue 1 came to be passed, the legislation that provided for Issue 1, was because of the Fair Districts Equals Fair Elections campaigners. We had gathered over 200,000 signatures across the state toward a goal requirement of 307,000 that we needed statewide. So we were well on our way to getting the signatures we needed to get our proposal for a constitutional amendment on the state ballot. And because of that, the legislature decided, okay, this is serious, they're gonna get it done, we need to talk with them to try to get a compromise. And so they went into very intense negotiations with the state legislature and the Fair Districts Coalition, and they came up with the issue, it was Senate Joint Resolution 5, which became Issue 1. And it is a good compromise. It will seriously change the way our congressional district lines are drawn in a way that's going to be better for all Ohio voters. How many of you are familiar with the problem of gerrymandering? Do you know what the problem is? I won't have to go into great detail, but the things that Issue 1 provides that are improvements over the way our current law provides for district lines being drawn is that the new proposal will make it more fair, and it will require that we have bipartisan approval of new district lines. In the past, whichever party was currently in power could go into a back room and draw congressional district lines in a way that served their party's needs or their incumbents' needs, and they could cookie cut around and wiggle around and pick out their voters. And with new modern technology, computers and databases, it was down to an exact science of how to pick their voters, to the point that since the last congressional redistricting, not a single incumbent has been defeated, and they've all won by more than 12 points. So there's not even competition in the congressional districts. They are so predictable what the outcome's going to be. So this new way of drawing lines will require bipartisan approval of the district lines, so that they can't, somebody's not going in the back room and cutting it out just for one party's advantage. And the language of the law specifically says that the lines cannot be drawn to favor one party over another, and they cannot be drawn to favor an incumbent. So that's a marked improvement as well, because the people of Ohio deserve for their congressional representatives to be accountable to them. And the only way you can do that is that on election day, there's a chance that they will not win if they aren't accountable to their to their voters. So that's why this is so important. The bipartisan part is also extremely important. Issue 1 was approved unanimously in the Ohio Senate which just doesn't happen. And it was approved by, I believe, 83-10 in the Ohio House. So getting bipartisan agreement on a measure is really rare in Ohio or anywhere right now. So we feel really strongly that issue 1 is a good improvement for Ohio's voters, and we encourage everyone to vote yes. I brought this because these are the 2 logos that you may see approving issue 1. The first one is the Fair Districts Coalition. I proudly say that my friend and I developed that logo. And the one below is the official Republican Party and Democratic Party's logo. They were a little slow getting their stuff out, so that's why my friend and I developed the one up top. But then they came out with theirs within about 2 weeks after we had created ours. But so now they're both being circulated. It doesn't mean that we're battling against each other. It just means that obviously they both say yes, but we're not coordinating our campaigns. So just if you see it, and if you can do anything to pass the word. My biggest concern is that Ohio's voters don't know this is happening. It came up so fast, and there's really not any money behind the campaign, which we all know what money does in campaigns. It can sink you or allow you to swim.
There's a book about it. There's a children's book about that.
Yeah, is there?
Oh, I love you.
Well, that's good. I'd like to have that book. Hopefully, after May 8th, we won't need to talk about this all the time. But it has been, the League of Women Voters has been working on this issue for more than 40 years. And I have a timeline over there of all the attempts to pass it that have failed. And you probably know that in 2015 we did pass redistricting reform for our state house, and that will go into effect after the next census in 2020. But that only applied to Ohio's state house, and the legislature at that time wanted to wait and see how that worked out for them. And then they would think about it after 2020, whether they would change the rules for congressional districts. But we at the League of Women Voters and the Fair Districts Coalition just didn't think that our country could wait that long. We really need to get rid of gerrymandering, which is leading to the polarization of our politics. And we need to learn how, as you were saying earlier, we need to learn how to work together across the aisle. We need to find civility again. And I think that, when we can get fair elections, that it'll go a long way to solving that problem. So I've got some flyers here. If anybody would like to take some to your organization, let me know. And just pass the word. If you've got a newsletter, send it out. Please spread the word, because that's really our biggest concern, is that people don't know about it. So, and vote yes on issue 1 on May 8th or before, because early voting has already begun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?